you got your template and 4 different files open. If you're working on 4 of them at the same time in one sitting, as I'm doing, copy and paste this template. One note I want to mention is you can copy and paste just the first outline if you are creating the educational type of piece of content. So this one just has multiple talking points from 3 to 5 ideally, and it has intro and outro. The alternative content outline is more for the blog style content, where you have a setup, a confrontation, and resolution, not a piece of content where you are teaching something. As you remember, we have our content map, and helpful content is basically educational type of content most of the time. So for that one, you will just use this outline. And then if any of your nurturing content or your contagious content is more of a storytelling. So for instance, I left my full-time job to work from home. That could be more of a storytelling piece. Then you could watch that video on storytelling and you could just start creating an outline from this template right here. So my videos, I have how to attract the right audience to your business. Do you feel overwhelmed every time you sit down to create content? How to learn content marketing, and how to create a multi-channel content strategy for your business. So the only one that is questionable is how I learned content marketing. So my story, because it is a storytelling piece, I'm just going to copy this here and I'm going to use this alternative outline. But for the rest of these, I'm just going to grab this entire piece right here and copy and paste. Another note that I want to mention is for these storytelling type videos, if you don't have any keywords for them, that's totally fine. You can just scratch this entire thing off, but let me just double check here. So how to learn content marketing is part of my nurturing type of content. So I didn't do any keyword research for this piece. So since I'm not optimizing it for any keywords, I'm just going to delete all of this stuff and I'm not going to worry about it. So we're going to be using alternative content outline for this one. We're going to delete this because we don't have any target keywords, so we're just gonna use the title here. Now let's go back to these ones. So how to attract the right audience to your business. I want to go back to my content idea generator and I'm going to search audience. Here it is. So here are my keywords. How to build an audience is the top one, and then the rest of them are the related keywords. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to keep my keywords separate so I can see them. And I'm a formatting freak, so I'm just going to go ahead and have all of them formatted together. So URL slug, depending on what website provider you use, you may be able to have a custom link created. For instance, for my website, digitalpresencelab.com/how to build an audience would be my ideal link for this future blog post. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this here. It looks good, right? So there are no like numbers or weird symbols. If you have any internal links to add, so if your website already has some content that you think that would be helpful to the reader or the viewer of this piece of content that you're creating, go ahead and add the links here so then you don't forget to add them. We're gonna actually create an outline based on this template. We're gonna use OpenAI. You can use any other writing assistant. OpenAI is great because it's free. Create an outline for a blog post /article using the template below, including keywords, and we're copy our template right here. And I'm actually going to modify, since I know that this is going to be step 1, step 2, I'm just going to say step, okay. and create an outline for blog article titled, okay, and then including keywords. We're gonna go here. I'm gonna say keywords, main keyword, okay. Related keywords. So why should my ideal customer care about this? So sometimes it helps to add a little bit of information. For instance, for this one, my customer wants to build an audience. So why building an audience doesn't have to be difficult as a small business owner. So let's just go ahead and send this in and see what happens. So we see the title, how to build an audience you can sell to. Intro paragraph hook. As a small business owner, the idea of building an audience might seem daunting, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, attracting and engaging an audience that's genuinely interested in what you have to offer can be an achievable goal. Great. And then here are the 5 steps that ChatGPT came up with, okay? We don't have to use this outline. We can always regenerate the responses and see what other ideas it may come up with. But I think this is a good start. So we're going to copy this and paste this. Make sure that you don't forget to add call to action at the end. So I like to just do that, just make everything normal text and then add some spaces so then it looks decent. So here it is. So we can just get started with this, and then maybe the steps aren't really what I want to create, right? Maybe for my idea of how to build an audience, maybe the first step is understanding your target audience. That's good. Creating valuable content is good. Building an online community, good. Leveraging social media. Like, for instance, I really don't love social media, so I might change this to leveraging different channels. And then if I want to, I can maybe go ahead and ask it to change step 4 to leveraging online marketing channels such as SEO, YouTube, and podcast. Let's see. So it's going to regenerate the whole thing. And then you'll see that in the 4th step, it now says leveraging online marketing channels. And there it is. So as a speaker, you may not need the scripted piece of content for you to start creating your video or a podcast. So what you can do is grab this piece and create bullet points that will make it more easy for you to think of, okay, this is what I want to talk about. So we're going to ask ChatGPT to create a list of bullet points about this. So understanding your audience. Here's some of the talking points that you can include. Research and analyze your target audience, identify their preferences, right? So you can just go ahead and paste these bullet points and take it from there. You can edit them out, maybe delete some of them. Maybe there's an anecdote that you want to mention or a story that you want to mention in one of these points. You will just go ahead and add that here. Once you go through all of these talking points and create bullet points, you are pretty much done. Don't forget to add the call to action at the bottom because you want to record it in your video or your podcast. But you don't have to do any of this keyword optimization other than just making sure that you include your keywords throughout your outline. So then you're actually saying the keywords. That's a very important part. But don't worry about including your main keywords in the title, anything like that, because we'll return to the SEO optimization checklist for you after you actually record your video or record your podcast. All right, so it looks like it took me 2.5 hours to complete all 4 outlines for my content. So if you're a speaker, that's great because you're pretty much done after 2.5 hours. You don't even have to use 4 hours that we allocated. But I just wanted to walk you through and show you a couple of things here. I've used my writing assistant quite a bit to help me generate the outline, and then I edited it and made it sound like myself because a lot of these tips are pretty generic, so I had to make sure that whatever I suggest for my audience is aligned with my system and my framework. I have a little hook here, a little paragraph, and as a speaker you don't have to write out your hook. I prefer writing out the hook because I don't like and thinking and pauses at the beginning. And so that's why I tend to script my hook, and I have just the bullet points here for what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm going to also do a call to action to watch my free webinar. So this is this particular article. I also went through and made sure that I included my keywords within this outline already, so then I can mention them for the speaker. As I said, you don't have to say every single one of your related keywords. Your main goal is to say your main keyword a couple of times within the video. But if you can naturally insert some of these related keywords in your outline and remember to say them, that would be great. So I will show you the other videos that I've scripted right here. I had one more storytelling piece of content, which is how I learned content marketing. And for this one, if you do have any storytelling pieces, I have a separate video on storytelling that you can watch. There is a setup, there is a confrontation, and there is a resolution. And my call to action for this piece of content, because this is my nurtured content, if you remember, we have call to action for each piece of content right here. How to learn content marketing. This is orange, so it means that the call to action is going to be orange, which is check out my product. So this one specifically is going to be advertising my product, which I've mentioned here. I'll add all the links below if you want to check out any of these resources, including learning more about my own course specifically designed for small business owners and solopreneurs. So in this one, it naturally fits in because I am talking about the resources and hidden gems for learning content marketing. So if you feel like it's forced, maybe your product doesn't really fit in or something else, you can always modify and use another call to action. Just remember that our main goal is to either capture the email, so we ask our audience to watch a free webinar or download a freebie, or for the nurture type of content, we want to mention to them that we have this product. But I hope that this is a good enough explanation of how it works with the outlines. The next week, we're going to sit down and record all of this content. So I suggest as a speaker, if you haven't done so, start learning more about these different topics. If any ideas pop up randomly until the next time, write them down into your outline. You can also feed your mind with all the kind of relevant ideas and relevant content by listening to podcasts, watching different YouTube videos, reading articles. So then by the time you actually sit down to talk about this as a speaker, you will have a lot of information, and then we can add it out, whatever it is you don't want to keep. Just don't feel constrained to only talk about this, but also don't go on the rants, is basically what I would suggest. Anyways, that's it. It only took me 2.5 hours to prep. Let me know in the comments below how long it took you to prep for pieces of content, and I'll see you next week. Bye.